What's up everyone, Damien here for grittymonkey.wordpress.com, and we're here today with the unboxing of the Fujinon XF 50-140mm f2.8 weather sealed lens that was just released by Fujifilm in Japan. Now the good news is I actually received this lens 1 week earlier than initially expected. The bad news is I already have other plans for this week, so I will not be able to test the lens anyway before at least another week. But anyway, let's jump right into the unboxing for today. Let me open this box. Okay, so as usual, everything starts with your warranty. This is a lens pouch to carry the lens. It's actually quite a big one. I can already see it's much bigger than the other ones. Yeah, quite a big pouch. This is your user's manual. So last time I said that we don't really need those manual, and that Fujifilm should just like have a software version of it, and stop printing paper and wasting forests, just to print those very thick user manuals. But somebody actually left a comment saying he's actually reading it. So whoever you are, this is for you. Some other warranty-related paper, and we can now jump right into the interesting part. Wow. Okay. Lens hood. Once again, quite a big lens hood compared to the other lens for the X-Series. It looks like you can actually open the lens hood here. I really don't know why. I need to check. So actually, I'm gonna read the user's manual for once, it seems. Okay, and here is the lens with some things so that it remains dry in the box. Okay, so it comes mounted on this plate that you can use to put it on a tripod. This is quite a heavy lens in terms of mirrorless standards. It's basically almost 1 kilo. So quite heavy if you compare it to the other lenses for the X-Series by Fujifilm. Now, I tell you, like right away, this feels very sturdy, very strong. Definitely a solid feel into it. The lens cap is a little bit different. I really don't know why. If you look at the filter thread for this lens, it's a 72mm. So obviously there are already other lenses by Fujifilm that have a 72mm lens thread. But this is the first time I see such a lens cap. So I'm just testing it. It looks quite good. It doesn't move. Doesn't look like it's gonna fall. So maybe it's just an improvement on the lens cap that we might see on other lenses in the future. Your manual focusing ring right here. Then you have your zooming ring in the middle, the big one. Here is zoomed out all the way to 140mm, and here is zoomed all the way back to 50mm. So as you can see, you can very quickly basically move from one end to the one end of the range of the zoom to the other end of the range, which is something very, very important for this type of 70 to 200 millimeter equivalent type of lenses. Like personally, I know I'm not going to spend a lot of time right in the middle of this zoom range. It will be very rare. I will spend most of my time either at this end of the range or at this other end of the range, depending on the situation, and just switching back from one to the other, depending on what is in front of me. Then you have your aperture ring lens. Your aperture ring for the lens. Right away, by touching it, I can tell you it's a little bit different than the other aperture rings on the other lenses for the X-Series. First, just visually, you can see that this aperture ring is actually larger than the aperture rings on the other lenses. But then, when you touch it, and this is an important part, it's actually a bit harder to move than on the other lenses, which means that once you've set your aperture ring or your aperture value to, let's say, f4, f5.6 or whatever, it's not gonna move unwillingly. Okay, so most likely for a lens like this, so this is a almost 1 kilo lens, so you're not going to hold your camera. What you're gonna hold your lens, and the lens is gonna hold the camera. Okay, if I may say so. So what it means is, because you're holding your lens and not your camera, you don't want to be moving the aperture ring, just because of the way you're holding the lens. Yeah, so this aperture ring is actually a little bit more solid than the other aperture rings, which is a very neat feature for this type of lens that you're gonna be holding via the lens and not via the camera. Then you have your OIS on and off position. I'm gonna probably leave it to on and not touch it anymore. So this is on the other side of the lens. Nothing very special. And this is basically your plate. If you want to put this lens on a tripod, and as you can see, you're gonna attach the lens to the tripod and not the camera, okay? Because the lens would be too heavy if you were to put your camera on the tripod, and you would have like all the weight of the lens basically putting some force on your camera mount, okay? So it's not really something you want. So the lens comes directly with this tripod mount, very solid. But obviously, if you're not using a tripod and you don't want to be bothered by this, you can just very easily, or I think very easily, I'm just trying it here for the first time. Oh. You can very easily just unscrew the tripod mount, and you're left with the lens just like that. So obviously the 50 to 140mm f2.8 lens is the longest, the heaviest, and definitely one of the largest lenses available for the X-Series cameras. This is how it compares to the 55 to 200mm variable aperture zoom lens that was released now quite some time ago for the X-Series cameras. Keep in mind though that the 55 to 200mm is not weather sealed, and also the zoom is not internal. Okay, so if I were to zoom out this lens to 200mm, this is what it would look like. So obviously 200mm is a longer zoom than the 140mm of the 50 to 140, but you can see that in terms of length, once you extend your zoom on the 55 to 200, you have a very similar length with the 50 to 140mm f2.8. Now, how would that 50 to 140mm f2.8 lens by Fujifilm compares to its equivalent in a full frame system? So I've brought here a 70 to 200mm f2.8 lens by Nikon. Obviously the Canon would be very similar to the Nikon in terms of size and weight. Keep in mind here we're talking about full frame versus cropped sensor for the Fujifilm lens, so for the Fujifilm camera, so not really comparing apples to apples here, but still you can see that by using a mirrorless system you still have some gain and benefits in terms of size if it is something you're looking for. Now obviously the 50-140mm is a long lens. It is a heavy lens by mirrorless standards, but you know who you are and you know what type of result you're looking for. You know if you need a weather sealing or not, and you know if you need a constant aperture at f2.8 or not. These are the things you need to keep in mind when you decide what lenses you're gonna use. Like frankly, the 55-200mm is a great lens. It has a fast aperture in terms of variable aperture zoom. You go to f4.8 when you're at your longest focal length of 200mm, while other zooms would go to probably f5.6, so you have a little benefit there. But what I noticed is I haven't been using the 55-200mm zoom lens for quite some time. I use it every now and then, but not necessarily on a consistent basis, while this 70-200mm lens for the Nikon system is basically the lens I've been using the most ever since I've been taking pictures. So it's definitely, for me, for the type of things I shoot, this is a focal length I really tend to shoot at. So it was really a little bit, a change for me not to really use the 55-200 zoom lens for the Fujifilm. I've been shooting the most recently with the 56mm f1.2 lens. It's a great lens for portraiture, and I've been shooting a lot of portraits recently. But definitely I was needing something a little bit longer. The weather sealing is also obviously something very, very important when you do travel photography, like I tend to do every now and then. I've been traveling a lot recently across the world, and you don't travel always where it's sunny and bright, and sometimes you go to a location and it's the rainy season, and you really need some camera you're confident you can take it out of your bag and use it, because otherwise there's just no point, So I've been really expecting this 50-140mm for quite some time now. I'm very glad it's out. I can finally put it through some tests. Unfortunately not this weekend, probably in a week or two, and then I will put up some results on the blog, and I will probably try to put a video gallery on the YouTube channel as well. But that's it for today. Just a quick look, just an unboxing. Stay tuned for more hands-on and more review-oriented type of content regarding this lens, and I will be talking to you soon. Take care.